Is Apple finally going to make a real effort in the smart home market? In this episode of the Macworld Podcast, we'll examine a few recent reports on some rumored products, an iPad-like control center, smart home cameras, an Apple television set, and more. It's coming up, so stay tuned. Welcome to the Macworld Podcast. I'm Roman Loyal here with Jason Cross.
Good morning.
And Michael Simon.
Hello, sir.
So a couple of recent reports say that Apple is working on creating a bigger presence in the smart home market with a few products that are in the works. So on this episode, we're going to give our thoughts on some of the rumors that have come up. But first, maybe we should go over quickly Apple's current presence in the smart home market, which basically comes down
do they
to
have one?
What? Yeah, I was going to say the HomePod and what? A few APIs for third parties, and then that's it, really?
I mean, it's really the home app. It's really all it is. Like,
HomePod
isn't marketed as a smart home device. It's marketed as a smart home speaker. Music is there. It's its main thing.
Although, I mean,
it works, but it's
tomato,
mainly
tomato.
music.
But it's as much smart home as an Echo is, or something like that. But at Amazon,
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, their main thing is that they've got their home app, home APIs. You need either an Apple TV or a HomePod to be a home hub if you want any of your smart home stuff to be accessible from when you're not at home, from the external internet.
Right, so that it just like communicates with all of your little HomeKit gadgets, sends them to the app, and then lets you control them wherever you are.
Right, and it keeps the state alive and all that other kind of stuff, and that's your bridge to the internet. And they've been updating and adding all that stuff. They've added support for Matter. They're big into Matter, actually, and Matter keeps getting updated. So that gives you access to more devices. They've started the smart, what do they call their camera API? There's a HomeKit camera API now that lets you HomeKit secure camera or something like that. Interestingly, kind of gives you like an encrypted video camera storage. So you're just not sending your video feed off to an AWS server somewhere, and having people look at it and process it and all that other kind of stuff. So it's a way to have like secure video and process all your video locally.
Yeah, there still aren't a ton of HomeKit cameras out there.
No.
If you have one, it's great. If you don't, there are still ways to kind of like rig it to work with the home app, but for the most part, you got to buy a new camera. That's why Apple's so behind here, is because their HomeKit way back when it was originally it was a hardware requirement, and a lot of these smaller companies and even the larger ones were like, well, we're just not going to do that. We're going to support Alexa. We're going to support Google Assistant because it was software is easier. Then Apple changed that, and now there are a lot more HomeKit accessories out there, but still not nearly as many as Google and Alexa, and they always cost a little bit more. Sometimes it's a couple bucks, but they're always more expensive than the non-HomeKit ones.
Like we said, there's Matter, which is sort of the new way of saying like, okay, instead of having Amazon's ecosystem works with Echo, and then Google's works with Google, and then Apple's works with HomeKit, like they all kind of got together and said, okay, one standard for these things, but they don't have as many categories.
Right.
Matter works with lights and fans and door locks and stuff, but it doesn't do a lot of the other categories that are specific. They're still kind of building out new categories every year.
And it's still new hardware. Like it's not backwards.
It's still new hardware.
We're going forward here. Yeah.
There's been a few things that have gotten firmware updates to support Matter, but you're still, limited.
Yeah. So for example, I have Simply Safe as my home security thing, and it's not like the camera doesn't work through the HomeKit app. Like it just doesn't work.
Yeah, say I have Ring stuff, and it's the same way. I have a home NAS, the network attached storage device, and I run a like a HomeKit. There's like a bridge that you can run on there that that connects to sort of like Ring cameras and stuff like that.
That's a home? Is that homebrew?
Yeah, no, not Homebrew. Homebrew is a way to install apps from command line. I can't remember what it's called, but It's home something similar to that. But the problem is it's very flaky with certain things. Like it's super flaky. I have an old Nest thermostat that didn't get the Matter update, and it's super flaky with that. It like works for a day and then stops working and stuff. But, it's not ideal. That's not exactly how you want it to work. So that's where they're behind. That HomePods are too expensive and so on.
Yeah, so there are some rumors that Apple's going to, release some more products in this market because there's a whole different discussion, but Apple kind of has this challenge of trying to find new markets and new revenue streams because they can't rely on the iPhone forever.
Yeah, there's this is all part of a larger picture thing of like Apple. There's never going to be the next iPhone. There was talk of like Vision Pro being that sort of thing, like AR, VR, but that's never really going to happen. There's never going to be another thing that people buy 100 million of every year.
Right.
So they're making a bunch of small bets on small products, and some of them will be.
Even if Vision Pro were to take off, as Jason says, like you don't buy glasses every year. It's 3 years or 5 years. Like the iPhone was a 1 in a million shot that paid off. I mean, in ridiculous numbers. Somehow Apple convinced the world, and they were really the first to do it. Like you needed a phone every single year. You needed a new one. Before it wasn't like that. Like we kept our phones till they died or broke.
Yep.
And, then, with the iPhone, they changed that cadence. And a lot of people, I do. And if I didn't work here, maybe it would be different. But I get a new iPhone every year, and I pay for it. Apple doesn't give it to me.
Yeah. I mean, most people don't, but it's still frequent. And,
right.
The point
more
is
frequent than needed. Yeah.
The hope is that they get another AirPods, right? Another secondhand accessory that they could sell millions of and stuff. And to do that, they're going to place a lot of smaller bets, doing less complicated, smaller things that are more like accessories and not whole new platform. And this smart home stuff figures into that. But there'll be other things. There'll be health stuff and everything too. And
we could see the first product in this new effort as early as this spring. Mark Gurman from Bloomberg reported that Apple's working on a wall-mounted iPad.
We're gonna call it a HomePad for the purposes of this podcast.
Everybody glommed onto that wall mount thing, and he just said like you can mount it on a wall, and then he went on to say like you can also put it on a stand, and they'll have a speaker you can dock it to, and all this other stuff. And everybody's like, "You'll put it on the wall." And I'm like, "No, what?"
Yeah. Well, I guess the idea is that it's kind of like a control center for your smart home stuff.
Yeah, so, Apple doesn't generally encourage things to be put on walls, I guess.
Yeah.
Like it would be like the iPad is an iPad. It's not. They don't have a wall mounting kit for it. Even the studio display is
to officially have some sort of wall mount kit thing would be new for them. Yeah. This is supposed to be a lot like a 6-inch screen, so it's like they said sort of like two iPhones stuck together, kind of like
a little smaller than an iPad mini, I guess, but square.
Yeah, I would say smaller or bigger, like it's square, like square up an iPad mini, right?
Right.
And that's this kind of size. I kind of think that's maybe a little small, considering that you'll be standing away from it a lot, but it's
they're saying that like the standby mode on iPhone will be like the default screen from a distance, which are big giant widgets and easy to see.
Like an updated version of that with like photo slideshows and some more information, more of your smart home info, but like that general UI, and it'll have a new user interface experience. The report said they were considering doing an app store for it, but then they said no. So, and I think that's probably smart. Like we don't need a whole other thing for people to make apps for, just making an appliance. But it's supposed to be affordable. It's supposed to be aimed mostly around Siri and Apple Intelligence, like you talked to it. I don't know how Apple Intelligence is going to work on it, like if it's tying to your phone. It seems like if it's going to be more affordable, they're not going to put a chip in there that supports running Apple Intelligence locally. Like you need
Yeah,
an A18 Pro or an A19.
Yeah. I mean, so the iPad Mini has that, and that's $499. Is that affordable?
I mean, it's more than this thing's supposed to cost. But then again, if this is smaller, and it's more, it doesn't have the whole UI and all that's, App Store and all that other kind of stuff, then maybe that's the thing.
What's affordable for us? $299. We're thinking.
I think it's supposed to be in the threes something. Yeah, 300 to $399.
Well, there's affordable for us and affordable by Apple standards.
That's
what I mean. That's affordable by Apple standards for a smart home control pad. But it's supposed to have a camera and do FaceTime and like control your smart home stuff and do Siri. And this is 100% what I want from them. This is the last nail that
we've
lets me
wanted
get rid of my home hub
for a while. Yeah, I still have an Echo Spot in my kitchen that I would love to replace.
I have a Google Home Hub in my kitchen. The main reason I keep it, and Google Assistant is getting worse and worse. It's getting worse at understanding me. It's giving me wrong answers all the time. Yeah. It's not connecting to my Hue lights half the time. And then it won't stop talking when it has an error. And I'm like, stop. And meanwhile, I'm starting to just like get frustrated and then ask Siri something on my HomePod. And it's giving me more good answers more often. So the thing is shifting there. If this also does Apple Intelligence, especially if it hooks into ChatGPT and stuff like they're doing on the iPhone, that'd be excellent. The main reason I keep it, the only reason I haven't replaced it with a HomePod is because there's no screen. And you look up recipes or you've got 3 timers going because you're cooking. You just want to look over at them. You don't want to have to ask how much time's left on my timer and wait for the voice to tell you. So this is what I want. This is the thing.
So how is this device different from a HomePod with a screen, or is it the HomePod with the screen that's been rumored?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's somewhere in between those two things. A HomePod with the screen, if you take it at face value, would be a musical situation that would be, audio driven.
Right.
This sounds like it's more smart home driven, like the other part of HomePod. I'm sure there'll be speakers inside it. I'm sure they'll maybe have a speaker dock that you can plug it into that has better fidelity sound, all that stuff. But I think they're going to lean into the smart home stuff, which, as we said before, they don't really do with HomePod. That's not thought of in that way. It's thought of as a high-end Apple Music speaker.
Because it has
so
to be.
Much.
You can't. Home control necessitates screens to see statuses. Right.
Yes.
And so HomePod can't really be a good home control center. So you could say it's just a HomePod with a screen, but the with a screen there does a lot of heavy lifting. That's everything. Well, now there's a interface, and what does what does the screen show you, and all this other. So
and it also turns HomeKit and the Home app from something that people may or may not use to something that's like, this is like the thing now. That
I really hope
use this to control all the smart things in your house.
I really hope there's a better interface than the current Home app as it exists on iPhones and iPads for this thing, because the Home app is just a bunch of squares. And
it is. I wouldn't be surprised if it's very similar to that, but
it needs some touch up.
Yeah, it's not horrendous. It's better than some of the other ones I've used, but it could be a lot better.
It just needs to show status for different kinds of devices in a more clear way that is specific to that kind of device. It needs some work in some of those ways. But I mean, and of course, because it has a screen, they're going to throw a camera in it. And now you can do FaceTime. Which, that's for me, that's everything, because my family's all got iPhones and stuff, and they'll FaceTime. And I know the world is on WhatsApp or everything, but I'm not going to get my parents and everybody to download and sign up for WhatsApp. They're never going to do that. So if I want to FaceTime them while I'm in the kitchen cooking or something, I'm going to use FaceTime regardless of what platform it is. So and this is the only way that's going to happen. I can't buy an Echo Show and run FaceTime on it.
Like the Apple TV core, like the way it kind of, you can throw it from your iPhone to Apple TV. Like I never use that because it's a pain, because I'm still going through my iPhone for the video. So
Right.
like I don't have a camera on my television, so it's nice to see them in a, you know, like who I'm talking to in a big view. But to see me, I'm still holding my thing like this and looking, and it's just easier just to use the iPhone.
Right. Or you need a mount, and then you're looking
Right.
below your TV every time. Like every time you're looking at them, because the camera's down low, it's like you're looking up. Like it doesn't work well. Yeah. So this is, if this isn't super expensive, this is the solution I want. They are making apparently an expensive version of this for later.
Yeah. And it's
That's
about
something we heard
time that
earlier.
they finally really leaned into FaceTime. I mean, FaceTime is like the most Apple thing ever. They popularized all this video conferencing stuff.
Yeah, it's
And
almost
they don't really leverage it
nearly
in
a
any
verb.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
If it's not, it might be. And they really haven't leveraged it in the like, it should be like podcasting. Like, this is our thing, and you need our stuff to do it best, and blah blah.
They
a
really blew it during the
device like
pandemic.
this will help. They did blow
Yeah.
it during the pandemic. You're right.
They really had an opportunity to make FaceTime like the video
Absolutely.
conference thing during the pandemic, and they were
And
slow.
it was for personal stuff, but not for businesses, and not for,
right.
like, everyone talked about Zoom. Nobody talked about FaceTime, even if they were using it. They still talked about Zoom.
They needed a
because
way for you to
Apple
FaceTime
missed
from
it.
other devices and stuff. And then eventually they got a thing where like you could join a FaceTime that somebody else
it's
started
still
and
not-
scheduled
yeah,
through a
it's-
link, and it was weird because you had to schedule it and send people a link, and it wasn't good, you know. So yeah, they had an opportunity and they missed it there. This device is distinct from another rumored device that we heard about before, which is a fancy iPad on a robotic arm on a speaker that will have a robotic personality. And that's supposed to be coming 2026, 2027, something like that, and be expensive. It's going to be like $1,000 or something like that. But it'll be able to move the screen to face you or to look around the room. It'll use AI to see who the people are around, and or events that are happening when you're not home, and send them to you. And it's meant to be something you talk to, and it has its own AI personality and stuff like that. So that is a whole other product. I'm sure it will do home control as well, but that's not what this thing is they're talking about. That's not coming soon. Whereas this is,
I
we're
also
trying to
think
get something out by the spring.
I think that this product is like a, what do they call it? Like a trial balloon. Like, if this
Kind of.
flops, I don't think we're ever going to see that robot stuff. I don't think we're ever going to see any of these. Like,
Maybe,
there's
yeah.
rumors of accessories, maybe an indoor-outdoor Wi-Fi camera.
Mhm.
I think this is the test. Like, if
Yeah,
this thing
could be.
succeeds, then they will, kind of push into other stuff.
Could be. I find the timing of it interesting because the rumor is that they hope to get this out by the spring. And the big thing happening this spring with Apple Intelligence is that's when the personalized Siri comes. That's when the Siri that
Right.
builds a personal context of you from all of your text messages and your contacts and all that other stuff. So it understands about you, and then you can do things. So if this is meant to be a product to show that off, it's going to do that for all the people in your home. And my guess would be it's not going to do it on the device because that's not a very multi-user friendly experience. It's going to communicate with your phone to do all the Apple Intelligence stuff on your phone, and it'll just come out of the speaker. But if that's the thing, now it's a device you want to talk to because it knows about you personally, right?
Yeah.
So that's my guess is we're going to see a spring event that's going to have something like iPhone SE, this thing,
Also,
talk
Apple
all-
Intelligence.
and also all about the new Siri Apple Intelligence that we heard about before, but this will be the grand release kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, they've been using that built for Apple Intelligence tagline since September. But a spring event with the 10th gen iPad, iPhone SE, and this device, all somewhat affordable. really showcasing like how Apple Intelligence fits into everybody's life, and it's affordable, and we can.
Yeah, really
I can see
leaning
that.
into
I can see that.
The new Siri is here, and it does all these things, and it's the new Siri is one of Apple's one. Let me rewind it a little. One of the forefronts of all this new AI stuff is the next step beyond all of these chatbots, these GPT chatbots, is agents. Like the AIs that can go out and do something for you, buy something, like do things. And that's part of what Apple's doing with this new Siri. They kind of touched on it with their WWDC thing, but they're building hundreds and hundreds of new app intents so that Siri can do stuff for you within the apps that you have. And it can do that now in a very, very limited sense. It can like queue up a playlist or something like that. But like this is hundreds and hundreds of new app intents to let developers build apps and let Siri do stuff in those apps. So that this seems like that's how this device is going to be so useful for somebody outside of just literally controlling your home through the home app. Essentially, is if it's Siri knows who you are when you say something, and it's tied into you, and it communicates with your phone, and it can do all these things within your apps. Then all of a sudden, is a much better home product, like a smart home product, than all of our current Amazon Echoes and all that other kind of stuff, right?
Mike mentioned the rumor about the Wi-Fi indoor-outdoor cameras. That was a report by Ming-Chi Kuo that Apple could do in 2026. I thought it was kind of a weird product for Apple because that seems like I don't know, too basic of a product, too much of a commodity product to me. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's but I think it's all about like, is the Apple smart home ecosystem thing gonna catch on quickly? And I think that's where this is. I can
connect the dots here a little bit. I feel like I can see Apple's.
That's my point. It feels like there's a bigger picture for those cameras that's not being filled in.
I think I can kind of see it because so thinking about the way they described that robot device thing, that thing that like will be able to robotically turn the screen to face you and have a personality and stuff. One of the things they talked about it being able to do is, it's going to use its camera to see what's happening in your home. Like that's an AI thing. Like it recognizes people, right? Recognizes pets. It could see if something's broken into or if something bad, a fire is starting or whatever, and send you alerts when you're not home, all that kind of stuff. So the camera is watching, and it's always running some sort of local on-device AI to analyze what it's seeing and be able to act on that or give you information. So maybe that's the tie-in here, is that these cameras aren't just going to be a secure video
surveillance.
Camera. It's secure surveillance where you can just see a feed, and the ones now are kind of dumb. Like the smart cameras now can detect a person, and they're wrong half the time. It's like a weird shadow that moved, and you're like, there's a person in your living room. You're like, what? And it's like the tree made a shadow move or something. But that kind of thing taken to the way next level, because they're going to be, it'll work with any home hub you have, your Apple TVs or whatever. It'll be running some intelligence. It's not just secure video. It's going to be smart about it, about knowing what's going on in what it sees. And so maybe that's the ecosystem they're building. It's that same tech they're building for that robot thing. It's just the camera part, and you'll be able to put them wherever.
Yeah. I mean, that makes plenty of sense. But again, it's all contingent on this mythical iPad home security control thing.
Yeah. I really wonder if this bombs, do they move forward, and then it has to be a whole thing. I can see Apple getting 3 or 4 of the kind of products together and selling them in a bundle.
Sure.
Like I can see it being 2027, and you can buy the HomePad, the pad, 3 cameras, and an Apple TV for
For
Whatever.
$17,000.
$1,700 maybe, but like
Oh, you
whatever.
mean an Apple TV like a small? I was thinking
No,
there was
not
another
TV
rumor
screen.
of an actual
I'm talking about
TV.
a TV to have your home hub,
Okay,
to be your home hub.
Okay, yeah. 1,700 is more likely.
That rumor popped up again. Like they're considering a TV set. They're not going to do a TV set. Oh my god, it's so much of a worse idea now than it was
Let
5
us
years
dream,
ago.
Jason.
5-10 years ago when they were like talking about that before, there was like, boy, it could be, I get it, it could be super premium and have Apple TV built in. Now the TV app is built into every smart TV already anyway, and really premium TV sets at a giant size are dirt cheap everywhere. There's just there's no margin for them to take. There's nothing for them to do with a TV set that's like, well, and we can get a 30% margin and just charge more than Samsung and Sony and everybody else. There's just, it's gone. That window of opportunity is closed.
Yeah, it would have to be crazy affordable. I mean, there are high-end TV sets, but they don't sell in the numbers that Apple needs.
No.
And as Jason says, like, just like 5 years ago, an 80-inch TV screen was like $3,000, and now it's like $800. It's crazy how much they come down.
They just put one in your cart at Costco. You just don't even. You're just going out, and they're just like, "Here's a 65-inch TV." Like,
yeah.
So yeah, it would be quite a doing if Apple were to somehow create a 55 to 65-inch TV set that did all this stuff.
Just the mid-price TVs that have thin margins from like Samsung and Sony and stuff like that, the quality level of those is so good now that they're just not going to be able to go like, yes, but ours is the super high quality one. You're not going to see that quality level.
I mean, everything's 4K, everything's UHD, everything's LED now. Like it's crazy how
or even OLED, and it's just everything does variable refresh rate and
even like an 80-inch OLED screen is still under $2,000.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Apple sells the iPad for $1,800, so that's only 13 inches. Like, it would be crazy to see how expensive it would be, and like what their marketing strategy
and what you would get for it. Just like how much better does it have to be to justify Apple's 30%?
And if it's like 8K or something, like okay, but there's no content, so who cares? Like you can watch like one show in 8K. And you just
can't see 8K unless it's like really close to a giant screen.
Right.
So so the TV is not going to happen.
But it would be fun if this rumor stuck around for another 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. This I put foldable iPhone above this one, like in terms of ever going to happen. And still I'm not sure on foldable iPhone.
Yeah, probably iPhone, car, Apple TV in that order.
What other smart home stuff do you want Apple to make? I'll say, and I'm sure call it smart home, but I'll put it in this same sort of category. Everyone still always wants an airport. They want the return of the Apple router. And I always say, like, again, that's another thing. Like, you get it free from your cable company. Who's going to pay for it? But I mean, I can see them offering some stuff.
I signed up for Frontier out here. I'm on the East Coast. Frontier Fiber about a year ago, and they just sent me like an Eero Wi-Fi 6E mesh system, like as part of it.
Like, they're paying for it already.
If Apple was to make something like that, and listen, the Eero's really good. They're all good. The Orbi's really good too. It would be $500. And the add-ons, like with like 2 little satellites and a main hub.
Yeah, if they do
add-ons, would be like $150. And it's like, well, why am I buying that when I get it from whoever?
Yeah,
and it's not. I'm aware it's not free. I'm paying for it, but it's it's still cheaper than it would cost me from the upfront cost from Apple.
Right, because it's not like if you don't get the router, you get a discount on your on your internet. You are paying for that, and then you're not going to use it, and you're going to go buy an Apple one.
Exactly.
But I can see them doing something like, okay, it'd be a home hub for all your smart home stuff. It'll have all kinds of like privacy protection stuff built into at the router level. So even people who aren't using an iPhone or something can get like the private browsing experience, that kind of stuff, and tracking cookies, blocking tracking cookies, and all that other kind of stuff, like at the router level. Maybe it could have some storage or something to do like secure home video. So I could see them doing something there, but I just don't think it's that can't be a high priority. Like, but what other home stuff would you want them to make? I kind of want them to do a doorbell, just because I think they'd make a great
I think
doorbell.
that falls into
it's a camera. Yeah, but it needs to be a button and an intercom, and I bet Apple would make it a better sounding intercom and like a better great quality video, and the doorbell would look great. Like I kind of want them to do that.
Maybe. I mean, lights are covered. The hue are fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they bring much more to that. Plugs, forget it. There's so many of them. And there's so many good ones for cheap.
The lights thing, there's so many companies making so many kinds of smart lights now.
There's tons of them, and
they're all
Hue
Matter.
Has the high end locked up, and as Jason said, there's like a ton below that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe like a thermostat, like the Nest, the Google Nest doesn't really play well with Apple stuff. I just got a what is it? UFi? Is that the name of the company?
Okay. I
think it's UFi, which is good, but it's still not. It's not. It's not quite as elegant as Apple would be. But again, that would cost $400 if it came from Apple.
And now that all the Nest stuff supports Matter, the Echo B stuff supports Matter. Like, I just thought, what are they competing with? I feel like there's garage door openers are a mess. Like, I want someone to fix that market, but I can't imagine. I have a MyQ
one, and it's not great. It's its own app. It doesn't play with anything. It doesn't. Yeah.
And you have to pay for it you have to subscribe to it to just do basic stuff that you can do. And then, and it's got a camera, but you can only access it within the app. And then they used to have a thing that you could buy to do HomeKit, like a bridge, but they discontinued that. They don't do that anymore. There's all these hobbyists who've like rigged up stuff that you can buy, but that's kind of like in that Raspberry Pi like hobbyist thing where it's not that it's not hard, but it's not as easy as an everyday thing. So that's just a mess. And but I can't imagine them making a garage door opener.
No, I don't think there's any benefit there for them to do that. Yeah.
Also, I don't know if Apple wants to associate themselves.
I could see them teaming with like a bunch of third-party companies to promote them in the store, promote them with these other products, like they do now.
Yeah, it would be neat if they built a framework that everybody else could use, and then it's built. It works with HomeKit and all that other kind of stuff, and it gives you all the information you need, and it just automatically opens when you drive up and do all the things. But the two biggest garage door opener companies, Chamberlain and LiftMaster, are the same company.
I know,
and they're invested in like making you pay for the MyQ thing, so they're just definitely not gonna like why. Yeah. What benefit do they see from an Apple partnership there? So I don't think that's going to happen. I think smart garage door openers are going to continue to be a mess for a while. I can't imagine Apple's going to get into things like smart sprinkler systems or that. I could see them making a lock. I look at things like the Yale lock and stuff like that. And I think and they have their HomeKit secure key. We just got a new door that has it's a Schlaga, but it's the one with the home key support, so you can tap your phone or tap your watch to it. So, and it's great. And I can see them wanting to make a really sleek, secure thing like that has a bunch of easy features.
Yeah. Or again, even just partnering with someone else to make it the exclusive whatever.
Yeah,
Apple
they
Store
can do an
one
exclusive thing. Yeah. But they already have home key support in a bunch of products.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that does it for this episode of the Macworld Podcast, episode 910. Thanks to Jason Cross.
Thank you.
Thanks to Michael Simon.
Thank you, sir.
And thanks to you, the audience. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to the Macworld Podcast in the podcast app, on Spotify, on YouTube at the Macworld Podcast channel, or through any other podcast app. Do you have any comments or questions? Send us an email at podcast@macworld.com or contact us through X, that's at Macworld, or on Threads, that's at Macworld_HQ, or on Blue Sky, we're on Blue Sky now at Macworld-HQ, or you can contact us through the Macworld Facebook page. Join us in the next episode of the Macworld Podcast as we talk about the latest in the world of Apple. See you next time.